Paul Anderson, the owner of Anderson Industries, walked into his massive business center in Midtown Manhattan with the confident stride of a man for whom doors opened themselves. An expensive suit, a leather briefcase, the scent of cologne with 1,000 symbols of status. Entering the spacious lobby, he caught a glimpse of a hunched figure of a woman in a gray cleaning service uniform. He hadn't expected anyone to be in the office at such an early hour and nearly stepped on a wet patch of floor with his polished-to-a-shine shoe. The cleaner barely managed to pull her mop away. "Careful, please," she said quietly. "Why don't you watch where you're going with that rag?" he retorted irritably. He shot her a look full of disdainful surprise and continued towards the elevator, adjusting his cuffs with annoyance. That morning, Paul had a meeting scheduled with investors, Goldman, Levin, and Roth, old partners with whom he had started the business. But lately they had been acting strangely, often meeting without him. Paul suspected something was wrong. To make matters worse, his glamorous assistant, Jenna, had called in sick with a fever the day before. There was no time to find a replacement. It occurred to him that he would still need some kind of assistant, if only to hand out papers and pour water. He looked around. His gaze fell on the cleaner. "Have you been working here long?" he asked unexpectedly. "Since last year." "What's your name?" "Irene." "Do you know how to be discreet? To speak clearly and not meddle where you're not asked?" "I believe so." "Come with me. You need to sit in on a meeting. Just serve water. And clean yourself up," he said, looking her over with disgust. "Find something suitable in the secretary's office. Quickly, you have 10 minutes. Irene gave a short nod, her face holding a strange, detached expression, and headed towards the office. 7 minutes later, she returned, changed into a simple but elegant white blouse and a dark pencil skirt. Her hair was neatly tied back. Not as striking as Jenna, but her appearance had a calmness and a restrained grace. In the conference room with panoramic views of the city, 3 men in expensive suits entered. "Paul, always full of surprises," Goldman said, glancing at Irene. "New assistant?" "A necessary measure," Paul grumbled. "Shall we get to business?" "Yes, Paul. We want to discuss your share in the joint project," Roth began politely. "We've run the numbers, and it would be wise to redistribute the shares." "So you want to push me out?" Paul smiled, but his eyes turned cold. "Not push you out," Levine drawled. "Simply reduce your influence. The company isn't a one-man show." Paul tensed, desperately searching for a way out. Irene silently poured water. "And what do you say, mademoiselle?" Goldman asked her. She looked at him calmly. "I've heard louder growling, especially in bankruptcy courts where partners like you try to devour each other." A silence fell over the room. "Excuse me?" Paul turned to her. "I'm a corporate lawyer," Irene replied. "I used to work in consulting. This morning, you left the documents they prepared on the table. This is an attempt at a forced asset buyout. By law, that's corporate blackmail." Paul snatched the papers, and his face went pale. You understand all this?" he asked in a different tone. "Better than you think," Irene answered. "And you know what? In this room, despite the suits and status, you're the only one who wasn't a jackal, just a bit arrogant." The investors froze. "This is all canceled. All 3 of you. Get out. Now," Paul said quietly, but with steel in his voice. They left. Roth paused at the door. "We'll talk again, Paul. This is just the beginning." The door slammed shut. Paul was left alone with Irene. He had been one step away from losing everything, and he was saved by someone he considered part of the furniture. "Sit down." His voice was hollow. "You knew what they were going to do, didn't you?" I saw how they behaved. Such manipulations are all too familiar. I worked with corporate raiders until I became a target myself. And then you started mopping floors. Paul couldn't hold back his sarcasm. After a divorce and a lawsuit with a former partner, I lost everything. My reputation, my money. I just needed to survive. I chose silence. In this job, nobody lies. Paul looked at her for a long time. I need help. I need someone I can trust, without flattery, without masks. That depends on the terms, she said firmly. Name them. He nodded. Irene, I'm not asking you to be an assistant. I need a competent, smart, and, when necessary, dangerous advisor. She smiled with the corner of her mouth. Then you've found exactly who you need. He extended her hand as an equal. Welcome to the fight, Irene. It's not over yet. A year later, Irene strides confidently through the office in a sharp pantsuit. Her office with a plaque that reads Advisor to the CEO is next to Paul's. In the hallway, she notices a young secretary struggling to insert a paper tray into the copier. Irene walks over and helps her with ease. "Thank you so much," the girl whispered. Irene's gaze falls on a strange ring on the girl's hand, a massive, masculine ring with the crest of one of the oldest investment groups. "I'm sorry, but whose niece are you?" Irene asked softly. The girl flinched, but then gave a restrained smile. "I'm just interested in how things work here. I'm just observing." Irene nodded and walked on. She knew a new story had already begun.